Archangel Michael says, it's an emergency. Don't ignore this message. There is a reason this message found you today. Not yesterday. Not tomorrow. Today. And before you continue, understand something very important. This is not a message about fear. This is not a message about a person coming to harm you. This is a message about a hidden spiritual battle that has been quietly unfolding around your life for far longer than you realize. Beloved soul. There has been an energy, a pattern, a darkness, a force of discouragement that has been trying to destroy your confidence, your peace, your joy, and your purpose. It has worn many masks. Sometimes it appeared as disappointment. Sometimes it appeared as betrayal. Sometimes it appeared as anxiety. Sometimes it appeared through people who smiled in front of you while secretly hoping you would fail. And tonight, something is changing. Archangel Michael says, the attack against your spirit is reaching its end. For months, maybe even years, you have carried burdens that were never meant to stay with you this long. You cried silently. You questioned yourself. You wondered why doors kept closing. You wondered why certain people suddenly disappeared. You wondered why every time you got close to a breakthrough, something seemed to pull you backward. But heaven has been watching. Every tear. Every prayer. Every sleepless night. Every moment you felt forgotten. Nothing was ignored. Nothing was wasted. And now a revelation is coming. There is a person connected to your past. A person who represented pain, confusion, negativity, or emotional wounds. The title of this message may have shocked you. But the truth is deeper than that. The real danger was never simply a person. The real danger was what their influence tried to do inside your heart. The bitterness. The fear. The self-doubt. The feeling that you were not enough. The feeling that your future had already been decided. That is what heaven is removing. Archangel Michael says, the chain is breaking. Right now, many people watching this message have been carrying invisible chains. Chains of regret. Chains of guilt. Chains of fear. Chains of memories they cannot seem to escape. But tonight marks the beginning of a different chapter. And before that chapter begins, there is something you must understand. The enemy often attacks greatest potential. Think about it. Why did you face battles that others never understood? Why did your path seem harder? Why did people underestimate you? Why did opportunities disappear at the last moment? Why did you repeatedly survive situations that should have broken you? Because there is something extraordinary about your future. Something valuable. Something heaven refuses to allow darkness to steal. Archangel Michael says, you survived because your purpose survived. Read that again within your heart. You survived because your purpose survived. Every attack failed. Every trap failed. Every attempt to silence your destiny failed. You are still here. Still standing. Still breathing. Still moving forward. And that alone is proof that something greater is protecting you. Now listen carefully. The next part of this message is important. There are 3 signs that indicate a spiritual breakthrough is approaching. The first sign is unusual separation. People suddenly leave. Conversations stop. Connections fade. At first it feels painful. You think something has gone wrong. But later you realize God was creating space. Space for better relationships. Space for healthier opportunities. Space for your next chapter. The second sign is inner discomfort. You begin feeling restless. Old routines stop satisfying you. You feel pulled toward growth. Toward change. Toward something new. This is not punishment. This is preparation. And the third sign. The third sign is unexpected peace. Even when problems still exist. Even when answers have not fully arrived. You suddenly feel calm. You suddenly feel protected. You suddenly feel that somehow everything will be okay. That peace is often the announcement of heaven's intervention. Archangel Michael says, when peace arrives before the miracle is already on its way. Tonight, many watching will recognize these signs. Not because someone told them, but because they have been experiencing them. The separation. The preparation. The peace. All of it has been leading to this moment. Now imagine standing at the edge of a dark forest. For years you walked through uncertainty. You could not see the end. You could not see the path. You could barely see the next step. But suddenly, a light appears. Not far away. Not someday. Right in front of you. That is what is happening spiritually. The light is appearing. The confusion is lifting. The direction is becoming clear. And something else is happening. The power that once intimidated you is losing its grip. The fear that controlled you is losing its grip. The memory that haunted you is losing its grip. The negative voice that whispered failure is losing its grip. Archangel Michael says, darkness cannot remain where truth has entered. And truth is entering your life. Truth about your worth. Truth about your strength. Truth about your future. Truth about your purpose. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not defeated. You are being prepared. There is a difference. Many people mistake preparation for rejection. But they are not the same thing. A seed underground may appear buried. Yet it is actually being prepared. A butterfly inside a cocoon may appear trapped. Yet it is actually being transformed. And you may have felt delayed. But heaven says you were being prepared. Prepared for opportunities. Prepared for wisdom. Prepared for growth. Prepared for blessings you once thought were impossible. Now hear this clearly. The next season of your life cannot be entered carrying the weight of the previous one. Something must be released. Maybe it is fear. Maybe it is resentment. Maybe it is self-doubt. Maybe it is the belief that your best days are behind you. Whatever it is, tonight is the night to let it go. Archangel Michael says, release what is leaving. Receive what is coming. Do not chase what God removed. Do not rebuild what heaven dismantled. Do not reopen doors that were closed for your protection. Trust the process. Trust the timing. Trust the guidance. And most importantly, trust that the same God who brought you this far will not abandon you now. Because your story is not ending. It is changing. Your season is not over. It is shifting. Your hope is not dying. It is awakening. And tonight, while others sleep, while others worry, while others doubt, a spiritual realignment is taking place. A burden is being lifted. A lesson is becoming clear. A breakthrough is moving closer. And Archangel Michael leaves you with this final message. Do not be afraid of what is ending. Be excited for what is beginning. The chapter of fear is closing. The chapter of strength is opening. The chapter of confusion is closing. The chapter of clarity is opening. The chapter of struggle is closing. The chapter of growth is opening. Walk forward with courage. Walk forward with faith. Walk forward knowing that you are protected, guided, and never alone. Because heaven has not forgotten your name. And your greatest testimony may be closer than you think. Archangel Michael says, Beloved soul, before you continue, there is something you must understand. Many people think spiritual battles begin with dramatic events. They think the enemy announces his arrival. They think danger always appears in obvious ways. But most attacks begin quietly. A little doubt. A little fear. A little discouragement. A little confusion. One negative thought at a time. One disappointment at a time. One betrayal at a time. Until a person begins questioning everything they once believed. And that is exactly why this message found you. Because heaven wants you to recognize what has really been happening. You have not been fighting random problems. You have been fighting for your destiny. Every setback carried a lesson. Every delay carried preparation. Every challenge carried hidden strength. Even when you couldn't see it. Especially when you couldn't see it. Archangel Michael says, the battle was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal you. Think about that. If you had never faced hardship, would you know how strong you really are? If you had never experienced loss, would you understand gratitude the way you do now? If you had never been tested, would your faith have grown? Sometimes the very thing that feels like it is breaking you is actually building you. And right now, something powerful is taking place behind the scenes. Doors that seemed permanently closed are being touched by divine hands. Conversations you know nothing about are unfolding. Opportunities are moving. People are being positioned. Circumstances are shifting. Not because of luck. Not because of coincidence. Because heaven is working. The reason you cannot see everything is because faith was never designed to depend on sight. Faith moves before evidence appears. Faith believes before proof arrives. Faith trusts before understanding comes. And many of you watching have been living on faith alone. You kept going when nothing made sense. You kept praying when answers did not come. You kept hoping when everyone else gave up. And heaven saw every moment. Archangel Michael says, your persistence has been recorded. Nothing was wasted. Not one prayer. Not one tear. Not one act of kindness. Not one moment you chose faith over fear. Everything has value. Everything has purpose. Everything matters. Now listen carefully. There is a warning in this message. Not a warning meant to scare you. A warning meant to strengthen you. Be careful who you allow access to your mind. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone deserves influence over your future. Some people speak from wisdom. Others speak from fear. Some people encourage dreams. Others feed doubts. Some people celebrate your growth. Others secretly resent it. Discernment is becoming essential in this next season. Archangel Michael says, not every voice deserves your attention. The enemy often uses distraction before defeat. If he cannot stop your purpose, he will try to redirect your focus. He will make you worry about things that do not matter. He will make you chase approval from people who cannot help you. He will make you focus on obstacles instead of opportunities. But tonight that cycle ends. Because your eyes are opening. You are beginning to see what truly matters. Your peace matters. Your faith matters. Your purpose matters. Your relationship with God matters. Everything else is secondary. And here is something extraordinary. Many people watching this message have been asking God for a sign. A confirmation. A reminder that He is still listening. A reminder that He still cares. A reminder that He still sees them. This message may be that reminder. Not because these exact words are magical, but because God knows exactly when to place encouragement in someone's path. Exactly when to send hope. Exactly when to restore strength. Exactly when to remind a weary soul that they are not alone. Archangel Michael says, heaven often speaks when people are closest to giving up. Maybe you almost quit. Maybe you almost stopped believing. Maybe you almost convinced yourself that nothing would ever change. But look where you are. You are still here. Still listening. Still searching. Still hoping. That means your story is not finished. Because finished stories do not seek new chapters. And God is preparing a new chapter for you. One filled with lessons. One filled with growth. One filled with wisdom. One filled with opportunities you cannot yet imagine. But before you reach it, there is one final obstacle. The obstacle is not outside of you. It is inside. It is the old version of yourself. The version that believes fear is stronger than faith. The version that believes failure defines identity. The version that believes yesterday controls tomorrow. That version must be left behind. Archangel Michael says, you cannot enter a new season carrying an expired identity. The person you were is not the person you are becoming. You have learned too much. You have survived too much. You have grown too much. You have overcome too much. You are not who you were 5 years ago. You are not who you were 1 year ago. You are not even who you were a few months ago. Transformation has been happening quietly. Gradually. Steadily. Even when you didn't notice it. And now others will begin noticing what you could not see. They will notice your confidence. your wisdom, your peace, your strength, your resilience. Not because you became perfect, but because you became stronger. There is a difference. Perfection is impossible. Growth is powerful. And heaven celebrates growth. Now imagine standing before a massive locked gate. For years you believed it would never open. You knocked. You waited. You hoped. Nothing happened. Then one day you discover something shocking. The gate was never locked. Fear only convinced you it was. How many opportunities have been waiting on the other side of courage? How many blessings have been waiting on the other side of trust? How many miracles have been waiting on the other side of faith? Archangel Michael says, the next step is smaller than you think, but more important than you realize. You do not need to know the entire journey. You only need enough faith for the next step. One step. Then another. Then another. That is how every great story unfolds. Not all at once. One faithful step at a time. And tonight, heaven is asking you to take that step. Trust again. Hope again. Believe again. Pray again. Dream again. Because the future is not as dark as fear tried to convince you. The future is brighter than you know. The future is closer than you think. And the breakthrough you have been waiting for may already be moving toward you. Archangel Michael says, keep your eyes on God, not on the storm. Storms pass. Seasons change. Challenges end. But God's faithfulness remains. Always. Forever. And as this night unfolds, remember these words. You are protected. You are guided. You are seen. You are loved. You are stronger than you know. And the chapter ahead may become the chapter that changes everything. Archangel Michael says, beloved child, there is one final truth that must be revealed before this message ends. The reason the enemy fought you so intensely was never because of who you were. It was because of who you are becoming. There is a future version of you that darkness fears. A stronger version. A wiser version. A healed version. A fearless version. A version of you that no longer doubts every decision. A version of you that no longer allows fear to control your choices. A version of you that walks with confidence because they finally understand who they are. That version is closer than you think. And tonight, heaven wants you to stop focusing on what is behind you. Too many people spend years staring at closed doors. Years replaying old conversations. Years reliving old mistakes. Years carrying guilt that God already forgave. Years carrying pain that no longer belongs to them. But you cannot drive forward while constantly looking in the rearview mirror. Archangel Michael says, the chapter behind you cannot be rewritten, but the chapter ahead is still being written. This is why your focus matters. Your attention matters. Your thoughts matter. Whatever you focus on grows. If you focus on fear, fear grows. If you focus on disappointment, disappointment grows. If you focus on hope, hope grows. If you focus on faith, faith grows. Tonight, heaven is inviting you to shift your focus. Not toward what went wrong. Toward what can still go right. Not toward what was lost. Toward what can still be gained. Not toward what ended. Toward what is beginning. Because something is beginning. Even if you cannot see it yet. Even if you cannot explain it yet. Even if nobody around you understands it yet. Something is beginning. And this next season carries a different energy. A different direction. A different purpose. The season of surviving is ending. The season of becoming is beginning. For too long, you have been focused on getting through life. Getting through problems. Getting through disappointments. Getting through stress. Getting through uncertainty. But God did not create you merely to survive. He created you to grow. To learn. To lead. To inspire. To become everything He designed you to be. Archangel Michael says, "You have survived enough. Now it is time to rise. Rise above old fears. Rise above old limitations. Rise above old beliefs that kept you small. Rise above every voice that told you that you could not succeed. Rise above every lie that tried to define you. Because your identity was never determined by your failures. Your identity was never determined by people's opinions. Your identity was never determined by your worst day. Your identity was determined by the one who created you. And He has not changed His mind about you. Not once. Not ever. Many people watching this message have spent years waiting for external confirmation. Waiting for someone to tell them they are valuable. Waiting for someone to tell them they are enough. Waiting for someone to tell them they matter. But heaven says your value was never dependent upon human approval. You mattered before anyone noticed you. You mattered before anyone believed in you. You mattered before anyone applauded you. You mattered because God created you with purpose. Archangel Michael says, "Stop questioning your worth. Heaven already decided it. Now listen carefully. A moment is coming when you will look back on this season. You will remember the nights of uncertainty. The moments of fear. The days of confusion. The battles nobody else understood. And you will realize something incredible. You survived all of it. The thing that seemed impossible became possible. The thing that seemed permanent passed. The thing that seemed overwhelming became a testimony. That day is coming. And when it arrives, you will understand why certain doors closed. Why certain people left. Why certain plans failed. Why certain delays happened. Because sometimes protection looks like rejection. Sometimes wisdom looks like waiting. Sometimes preparation looks like delay. But heaven never wastes a season. Every season has purpose. Every season has lessons. Every season has value. Even the difficult ones. Especially the difficult ones. Archangel Michael says, "The hardest chapters often create the strongest people. You are stronger than you realize. Look at everything you have survived. Look at everything you have overcome. Look at how many times you thought you would never recover. Yet here you are. Still standing. Still believing. Still moving forward. That is not weakness. That is strength. And strength is becoming your foundation. Not the strength that comes from pride. The strength that comes from faith. The strength that comes from experience. The strength that comes from knowing God carried you through every previous battle. If He carried you before, He can carry you again. If He provided before, He can provide again. If He protected before, He can protect again. If He made a way before, He can make a way again. Nothing has changed about His power. The only thing changing is your perspective. You are beginning to see what heaven has seen all along. You are not defeated. You are developing. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. You are not abandoned. You are being guided. And that guidance is becoming clearer every day. Archangel Michael says, "Do not rush ahead of God's timing, but do not doubt it either." Timing is one of heaven's greatest mysteries. We want answers immediately. We want solutions immediately. We want breakthroughs immediately. But God sees what we cannot. He sees tomorrow. He sees next year. He sees opportunities we have not even imagined. And because He sees the entire picture, His timing is perfect. Not always comfortable. Not always easy. But always purposeful. That is why tonight is not about fear. It is about faith. Not about panic. About preparation. Not about darkness. About victory. Because the story is changing. The atmosphere is changing. The direction is changing. And you are changing. The person who started this journey is not the same person reading these words now. Growth has happened. Wisdom has happened. Healing has happened. And more is still coming. Archangel Michael says, "The next chapter will require courage, but it will also reveal blessings you never expected. Walk into that chapter with confidence. Walk into it with hope. Walk into it knowing that heaven goes before you. Knowing that you are protected. Knowing that you are guided. Knowing that your future is not controlled by fear. It is shaped by faith." And as this message comes to an end, receive these final words from Archangel Michael. You are not alone. You never were. You are not forgotten. You never were. You are not without purpose. You never were. The battle is not greater than God. The obstacle is not greater than God. The fear is not greater than God. The uncertainty is not greater than God. And the future waiting for you is greater than the struggles behind you. Hold on. Keep believing. Keep moving forward. Because heaven is not finished writing your story. In fact, some of the most beautiful pages have not even begun yet.